Enjoying the Harbor Key in Port Alberni, Meloney Edghill is about to celebrate her 50th birthday, but she recalls just how different things were 10 years ago.
That year, I was thinking that I might not make it to my 40th birthday. What had happened was we'd found a lump on the front of my shoulder and thought, better go have this checked out. The doctors kind of thought, oh, it's, probably nothing major, but we should have it taken out and tested. And so did that, waited a week or two for the results, and then when they came back, the doctor sat us down and said, I'm really sorry to tell you, but it's melanoma. And my husband and I just kind of sat there and said, well, how's that possible? It was under my skin, like it can't be melanoma. Melanoma's on the top of the skin, isn't it? And he said, he wouldn't tell us anymore. He just said, I've set you up with an appointment at the Cross Cancer Institute in Edmonton.
That is where Meloney and her family were living at the time when she was diagnosed with stage 4 melanoma.
You kind of hit the ground running when something like this happens. They don't fool around with melanoma. Referred to it a couple of times as the silent killer because it happens so fast, and by the time they find it, usually it's too late to do anything. The worst thing probably that I was told in all those first days was, like I said, when the doctor said, get your affairs in order, I just thought, well, I don't know what that means, what does that mean? And basically he was trying to tell us that there's not a lot that can be done for this, so you need to prepare yourself for the worst and soon. One thing that I would not allow him to tell me was what a prognosis was, because I thought, no, you know what, those are statistics for other people and I'm not a stat. So he asked me if I kind of wanted to know, and I said, no, I don't want to know. That's everybody else, that's not me. And a couple of years down the road after I was cancer-free, I asked him, if I would have allowed you to tell me that day, what would you have said? And he said, I would have told you you had 6 to 9 months.
Meloney credits various things that have contributed to her being cancer-free since 2007.
The major one would probably be the trial drug that I was on. There were a couple of new trial drugs that came down the pipe right as I was being diagnosed, and I was fortunate enough to get into one of those clinical trials. And I ended up being kind of the last man standing in that trial because I stayed in it for about 5 years. They kept wanting to get more data on survival rates, and that drug has now been approved for use in a whole bunch of countries around the world, and they're finding that combinations of it and other ones are helping other types of cancers as well. So I feel kind of like a pioneer, I suppose, in that regard.
The experience resulted in not only changes to Meloney's physical health, but also her mental outlook on life.
When you're told that you may not have very much time left or something along those lines, you tend to view life a little bit differently after that. The little things are really little things at that point, and something like making a giant move like we did from Edmonton to Port Alberni was not a big deal. Other people, like earlier in my life, I would have thought there's no way I would do something like that, but at that point, we as a family just decided, you know what, we need a reboot, a restart. We need to, do something to major. We needed to start again somewhere else. And this happened to be the place, and yeah, we couldn't be happier.
Though she credits the trial drug she was on for contributing to her being cancer-free, she says her own thoughts were an important part of the battle.
I still truly believe that 90% of the fight is in your head. And if you believe that you're going to come through it, you will. It doesn't matter what combination of treatments that you have, whether they're holistic or traditional chemo or whatever. If you're the one that has to cure yourself with the aid of all of these things. So if that's something that I really don't know how to convey that to people, but I really truly believe that if you for 1 second give in and think that it's going to get you, then it's going to get you. But if you truly, believe in your heart and soul that you're going to kick its butt, then you will.
Meloney will be a guest speaker at the Skin Cancer Patient Forum on October 6th at the Port Theatre in Nanaimo from 7 to 8:30 p.m., doors opening at 6:30. For Go on Shaw TV, I'm Kelly Robinson.